Joining us now to discuss what we can expect from the VP's visit, former foreign policy advisor Nile Gardiner with the Heritage Foundation. Nile, great to see you as always. It strikes me, Nile, that these sorts of visits by the Vice President, by US congressional delegations are useful in shoring up morale for politicians. They mean very little to the people who are on the border and who have fled this attack. What say you about these kind of visits?
Jonathan, great to see you. Many thanks for having me on the show today. And I have to say that, I don't think there's a lot of faith and confidence in Kamala Harris's visit to Europe this week on either side of the Atlantic, frankly. I think Kamala Harris has been an extraordinarily unsuccessful vice president. If you look at her handling of the southern border crisis, it has been an absolute disaster, as more than 200 illegal migrants have come across the border. And now she's asked to shore up the frontiers of the NATO alliance in Eastern Europe. And I don't think she has much credibility, actually. And clearly, as we've seen on many occasions, her knowledge of foreign policy is very, very poor. She's very lightweight, actually, on foreign policy issues, and a performance at the Munich Security Conference recently was met with a great deal of derision in Europe. So I don't expect anything, really positive to come from this trip. It's a bit of sort of political theatre, but I don't imagine our allies in Europe.
Nile, Nile, there is always a sense of political theatre with these things. It's something that US administrations need to do in these situations to send the signals of diplomatic support. But I wonder, you're the director of the Margaret Thatcher Foundation. What do you think we would be seeing from somebody like Thatcher, from somebody like President Reagan, for instance? I know you are fans of both of them. What would they be doing in this situation that President Biden and European governments are not doing?
That's a great question, Jonathan. And, without a doubt, Kamala Harris isn't in the same league as Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher was a towering stateswoman on the world stage who really led the free world. The same cannot be said of Kamala Harris or indeed of Joe Biden. And I think the Biden presidency has been extremely weak, actually, on the Ukraine front. Its leadership has been very, very slow, sorely lacking in many areas, and I think far too soft, actually, in the face of Putin's Russia. I think, Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan would have been rallying the free world to stand up to the Russians. They would be, calling on the free world to do everything possible, actually, to stand up to the Russian bear. They would be imposing the kind of deep-seated sanctions that we need to see, including on Russia's energy sector. And of course, Biden's refused to sanction Russia's energy sector. They would be flooding Ukraine, of course, with the kind of defensive weapons needed in order to help the people of Ukraine to fight against the Russian barbarian army. But also, in my view, if Reagan and Thatcher were in power, you wouldn't see the Russians actually invading Ukraine. That wouldn't happen under their watch. It has happened under Joe Biden's leadership or lack of leadership. And clearly, Putin doesn't fear Biden or Kamala Harris. Putin views the Biden presidency as a pushover. And that's one of the key reasons why he's gone into Ukraine now. And this is an incredibly dangerous time on the world stage. Yes.
Yeah, and Nile, I want to ask you, if the Russians eventually take control of Ukraine, it's a big if, obviously, but if they do eventually get some sort of control, install a puppet government, what does it mean for the world? What comes after that?
I think this is a catastrophe of the world if indeed the Russians manage to completely take over Ukraine, occupy the country, install a puppet government. This is a warning to the free world here. And Putin, of course, won't stop at Ukraine. I think he has a sight set on the Baltic states, especially upon Lithuania. And his next move will be against NATO territory itself. And with regard to Ukraine, I think we're just seeing the beginning of what the Russians are capable of doing in terms of their barbarism and savagery on the ground, the large-scale killing of of civilians. We could see, large-scale ethnic cleansing in the country, concentration camps set up here. This is just the beginning, I think, of the monstrous evil that the Russians are unleashing upon Ukraine. We have to stand with the people of Ukraine in the face of this tremendous evil.
Yep. Interesting points, Nile. A very dangerous time for the world indeed.